All right, guys, so starting on Monday, the first thing we're gonna do is work on speed. So we're gonna make sure that we're warmed up, of course, and really do the potentiation phase. So we're doing those high knees, we're doing side swings, we're doing abduction, really to make sure our hips are ready to go for this type of movement. But we really wanna focus on incline sprints because that's gonna help us with that driving the feet through the ground type movement. And I wanna say that you could probably do this on a treadmill, so you could put them on an incline and do it that way as well. And we're looking at 1 by 3 by 15 meters, and then 1.5 minutes of rest here, and then 4 by 20 for 2 minutes. So really gonna start to get that heart rate up there. And then when we're thinking about progressive overload, so we really wanna start with them maybe doing half of their maximal speed, and then they'll start to go into 3/4 maximal speed. This is really gonna get their aerobic threshold. It's gonna increase it, so it's really going to get them winded, but it's going to really try to start to train those type 2 fibers, and then the eventual goal is to really get to top speed on some of those. For agility, so we would do our speed, and then we're going to go into agility stuff. Speed and deceleration is the focus on Monday, and then also maneuverability. So we're talking that forward to backwards. So we would do typical kind of suicide drill here. Now I have some cones set up in here. Ideally they'd be a little bit further, but we would start with 2 by 4 for 30 seconds and then 2 minutes rest. And this is all subject to their conditioning, right? So if that rest is not adequate, then you can scale it back a little bit, but as they get more fit, that's okay. Lateral shuffle, holding the center of gravity low. So the first one, I'm gonna try to be right in the vision. Pretend this is double as long. All right, so what we're doing is we're starting right here in the starting position, just nice and easy. And our shoulders are pretty much parallel to the ground. We're gonna pretend like we're running as we're slowing down, right? We're gonna stop our position, gonna ease into it, all right? And then we're gonna back pedal, all right? All right, so we're going forward. Now, in the textbook, they talk about how you can actually start to progress it by coming into it and turning and touch, coming back, right? So pretend I'm actually going full speed. So I'm speeding up, half full speed, slowing down. That's the deceleration phase, right? Touching, turning, coming back, touching, turning, coming back 30 seconds through. All right, the other one is lateral shuffle. So we're getting nice and low. So we're actually doing a squat, right? So pretty much a squat, all right? And what we're doing is the feet are coming together. They say you can hold something too to help push your center of gravity back in the heels. All right, so lateral shuffle, side to side, touch the cone, back, back. So the main thing here is we don't want them tripping over their feet, right? No grapevines. You could do that as a drill, but with this one I don't want to. And that you want to make sure that they're not excessively leaning forward. I see that sometimes, or I just kind of see this. They're not really working their legs. So making sure that that butt is out, right? Legs, hips are flexed, knees are flexed, keeping the core tight and upright. All right. Whew! Kind of got my breath up a little bit. So we would do 4 times 10 meters for 30 seconds. All right, Tuesday is gonna focus on strength training and plyometrics because we really need that basic strength to help with the force production, especially when it comes to the speed training. And then for the explosivity, we would definitely use plyometrics. We could do box jumps, lateral box jumps even, all the stuff we went over last week. All right, so Tuesday, separate. You could do like cardio on that day too. Wednesday, you're gonna work on speed and deceleration agility day. So we're gonna be doing agility training 2 to 3 times because this is preseason. So going into the season, we wanna make sure that they're in tip-top shape going into their games. So Wednesday, speed, deceleration. We could start with a push-up start, 1 by 4 by 15 meters, 2 minute rest. Sled toes, so we actually have a sled here, but I don't want to get it out. It's crazy heavy and all that good jazz, but just really making sure that when we're doing that sled toe, that our same sort of thing, our center of gravity is upright, we're not hunched over, and that our back and our core is engaged on that one. And it's actually kind of more of a plyometric move, or crouch start. So different ways that you can start your your wind sprints there. For agility training, we could be doing no suicides. So you're gonna go down, let's say 10 yards or 10 meters, come on back, go down 15 meters, come on back, 20 meters, come on back. Same sort of concept, deceleration. And then the Z drill, which I really like, we did these on my soccer team too. We did them with balls too. But with the Z drill, we're making a Z. All right, so what we're doing is we're starting with our lateral shuffle. When we get to this cone, we're actually going into a sprint, and then we're shuffling to the side, and when we go back, we're actually doing a back pedal, which is really cool, because this is actually used a lot in a lot of sports, even in soccer, for sure, right? Pretend it's a lot longer than this, all right? Let's see where I was there. So these are really good, especially if you do them in like a relay type style, and you kind of go one after another, and those are pretty fun. I like those ones. Z drill. So that's the second day of stuff, Wednesday of agility training. Then Thursday, strength training and aerobics day. So really gonna focus on making sure we have that aerobic base. You could do like a 3-mile run, strength training on top of it. We'll do the strength training first, and then of course the aerobics. Friday is gonna be the most progressed agility training day with speed as well. So for speed, we could do our incline run, or we could do the crouch starts 3 by 40 meters. When you're going a little longer, give yourself a little bit more rest. It's like 5 minutes. High stance starts, agility, deceleration drills. Of course, that's gonna pretty much be the basis foundation for agility training, because you're doing that change of movement, velocity. So when you're changing direction, deceleration, acceleration, and then just laterally as well. So lateral box run, we do this one in our circuit training. I love this one. I'll demonstrate that. And then the Y-shaped drill, which is what I was talking about with the coach telling either, so you're going down, you're running towards the coach puts out either right or left arm, and then you have to cut immediately to that side, run, and then they can either catch a ball, trap it, pass it, whatever you decide for that one. And then Saturday would be game day, or scrimmage type deal, and then Sunday would be rest. You definitely want to make sure that they're resting. I want to mention for coaching notes, it's important to coach them on their stride, because sometimes they try to have these giant gazelle type strides, and they're trying to cover more distance, and it actually is not the right way to go about it, because we just need to coach them that the proper transmission of force is through optimizing the athlete's gait. The correct application of force into the ground, pushing the ground behind you, is going to help them achieve their maximal speed. And then of course every individual is going to have a different type of gait, so making sure that it's natural, comfortable, and they can really focus on their force production. Transmission of high forces must occur within that short stance space, so ground contact time of making that less, so they're in the air more. And brief ground support times as a means of achieving the rapid stride rate, so what I basically just said. And then, so before I demonstrate this, I hate how long these videos are. It's like, oh my gosh, almost 10 minutes. Okay, hopefully you can bear with me on this. So college football team during competition season, I taper down the agility training. I definitely want them doing that kind of movement, but just not probably 3 times a week, because they're going to be getting that a lot in their practices, in their scrimmages, and in their games. So maybe 1 to 2 times a week, a little bit lighter type stuff, same with the speed stuff, making sure they're still conditioned, very, very conditioned, and that their ligaments and their tendons and joints are ready for that type of movement. And then with the college women rugby in the off season, not as necessary to be in tip-top agility training shape. They can actually focus more on strength, plyometrics, power training, stuff like that. As you get closer to the season, definitely a good chance to throw it in. Really get them in tip-top shape for the season. That's why I love agility training and the conditioning phase going into actual season time, because it really is the primary focus. You're really getting your athletes ready for that type of movement, and I think a lot of it has to do with, yes, you're going to see that a lot more in a real type game situation, but it's also injury prevention a lot, right? Okay, so for the Y-shaped drill, pretend I'm coming down the center, I'm looking for my, and then I'm cutting because they said this way. Okay? So that's one side of the Y, right? So this way. sure that you're able to respond to that stimulus like that is really, really key. And of course, if you're cutting in a real game, you kind of want to juke around a little bit so you fake your opponent so you can kind of play with it a little bit as well. And then the other one was a lateral box run. So pretend I have a box. You can do it without a box too, but if there's a box right here, basically you would go in, out, out. So it's a lateral shuffle, out, out. It's good feet work. If you're a soccer player, you can do toe taps on the ball like this. You can do them side to side. You can do the weaving inside and outside of the cones, right? So you're cutting this way, cutting this way, cutting this way, cutting this way. All right, so some different things you can do, and especially if you are trying to engage or trying to have your players do more sport type skill movements with the actual ball, those are really good because you're getting the agility training in, but also with that specific skill for the ball handling type thing for the game as well. So I hope this was an okay demonstration. I know it's kind of bear with me with my space and my limited space. So it's not full speed type movements, but it gives you a good idea, and I hope to get some feedback from you guys so that I can kind of better perfect this type of coaching. I love speed and agility. It's right up my alley. I'm an endurance athlete myself, so I actually really enjoy doing these kind of things, even if I'm not on a team. So yeah, some people hate it. I love it. So thank you guys.